So now let's evaluate trig functions of quadrantal angles. Evaluate the cosine and tangent functions at the quadrantal angles 0, pi over 2, pi, and 3 pi over 2. So at 0, we know that ordered pair is going to be 1, 0. Then at pi over 2, we know that is 0, 1. At pi, we are at negative 1, 0. At 3 pi over 2, we are at 0, negative 1. So let's look at cosine. We're only looking at cosine and tangent. So cosine of 0, cosine of pi over 2, cosine of pi, and cosine of 3 pi over 2. Oh, that should be a 0. So cosine of 0, we know that the x value is 1. At pi over 2, we are at 0. Cosine of pi, we're at negative 1. And at 3 pi over 2, we are at 0 again. Now let's look at tangent of 0. Tangent of 0 is going to be y over x, so that's 0 over 1, which is 0. Tangent of pi over 2, that's y over x, 1 over 0, so therefore it is undefined. At tangent of pi, we're looking at 0 over negative 1, which is just 0. And tangent of 3 pi over 2 is negative 1 over 0, which is undefined again. Okay, so pretty fast to find. Go ahead and try to find the sine and cotangent functions of the quadrantal angle only at 3 pi over 2. So sine, you would find that it is just negative 1, and cotangent is x over y, which is 0 over negative 1, which is 0. So let's take a look at reference angle. So let theta be an angle in standard position. Its reference angle is the acute angle theta prime formed by the terminal side of theta and the horizontal axis. So really important that what we're looking for, the reference angle, is towards the x-axis. Okay, that's our reference angle. So notice here it goes down to the x-axis, this goes up to the x-axis, this goes up to the x-axis. Okay, so for degrees, just to give you the formula, although you probably won't use it, you're going to think about, like, what do I need in order to get to the x-axis? So for formulas, 180 degrees minus whatever theta is. We're going to work mostly in radians, theta minus whatever the angle is. For degrees, it's theta minus 180 degrees. Radian is theta minus pi. For in quadrant 4, we're looking at 360 degrees minus whatever theta is. For radians, we're looking at 2 pi minus theta. Now again, it's not something you need to remember because if you just think about how far is it to get to that x-axis, that'll help you out a lot. So let's find some reference angles. We have theta equals 300 degrees. So we're in degrees, so we're going to leave it in degrees. And so just to get a visual on it, 300 degrees is in quadrant 4. So we know it's 300 degrees. We want to know the reference angle. How far is it to the x-axis here? So this is 360 and this is 300. So how far is it to there? So yes, you could do 360 minus 300 degrees, but I hope you see that it's just 60 degrees. That is our theta prime. That's our reference angle. For 2.3, well, you have to know that this is pi, which is 3.14. So you know that 2.3 is somewhere over here. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take pi minus 2.3. And then if you do that in the calculator, you would get 0.8416. Okay, just as an FYI, like for the homework. Now theta is negative 135, so you know that it's going in this direction and it stops in quadrant 3, and we're trying to get to the pi, I'm sorry, not pi, we're trying to get to 180 degrees. Reference angles are positive, so we always want to make sure that it is positive when you write down your final answer. So how far is it from negative 135 to, let's just say, negative 180? What is that distance there? Well, we see that our theta prime is positive. Well, just say it's 45 degrees, right? I know that it, minus 45 degrees, but really just knowing that it's positive 45 degrees is what we want, okay? So it needs to be positive. Go ahead and try these 3 examples here. trying this out, letter A. It is helpful to draw a picture sometimes so you know where you're going, right? So for A, it's 213 degrees. I'm in quadrant 3. So I want to know how far is that to the x-axis, to 180 degrees. So 213 degrees minus 180 degrees is 33 degrees. That's my reference angle. Letter B, now if you have a hard time seeing where that is, you just have to know if it's past 3 pi over 2, 1.5. If you have a hard time seeing it, you can always convert. And then so we see that it's at 280 degrees, which is in fact quadrant 4. And so we want to know how far is it to 2 pi. So I just subtract, I did 18 pi over 9 minus 14 pi over 9, and my reference angle is 4 pi over 9. So I still did it in radians. I just wanted to know, am I going to use pi or 2 pi? Letter C, we have 4 pi over 5. And I hope you see that that is just shy of 1 pi. And so I just did pi minus 4 pi over 5, and that is pi over 5.